All right. Welcome to the Fierce Dancing podcast number 3. It's good to have you back with us, and we've really sincerely hoped you've enjoyed the great weather over the last week since you've seen us, and you had a wonderful bank holiday weekend. My name is Vish, Social Regeneration Officer at Thames Life, and I'm joined here with Abhi.
Hello, everyone. I'm the Communications and Design Manager of Thames Life. So happy to be here and to be a part of the Fierce Dancing Podcast, episode 3.
Yes. And today, Abby and myself, representing Thames Life, we are joined by Pete. Pete is a man who I've known for the last 2 years in the local area. And I'd like just for Pete to introduce himself. So, Pete, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about who you are and more about yourself.
This is P. I've lived on Thamesview all of my life, which is a long time, very long time. Thamesview has changed quite a bit since I lived there, but in fact, I started working just off of Thamesview as a manager at Bulgins Electronics when I was 14, and I worked there most of my life until it moved to Tunisia, and then I became a assessor for TBG Learning, which was a training company that did apprenticeships and MVQs throughout the country. And I worked for them until they went under. So I've had a long history of talking to people, so I'm good at that. So basically, Thames is my life, basically.
And you do a bit of pastoring, don't you?
Yeah, around the church. I'm a member of the church since it was built, and that was built in 1958. And before that was built, went to Sunday school in a little shed down Thames Road. There was a corrugated iron shed, and that was a really great place. And then I was actually baptised, and my mum and dad were married in St Patrick's Church, which was the church for Thamesview at the time.
Mm. So I wanted to get the conversation flowing with a little bit of discussion about the green spaces in the area, in particular. What it meant to you and what was there a long time ago. So going way back.
Yeah, going back in time, the green spaces was our place. Is where we lived and we played as children, and we could go out first thing in the morning and come home when it got dark. And we went to all the green spaces, and there was plenty of them. The best one was where they built Riverside. We used to play down there. There was a hill called German Hill, where the gun emplacements during the war were behind it, and we used to play there in the air raid shelters, going down tunnels and up tunnels, and all along the shoreline. It was a great place, and then we had the cows and the horses down there, and we used to play rawhide, chasing the cows around down there, and they used to escape sometimes and come into Thamesview and walk down Bastille Avenue and eat people's gardens. And now, if you go on the old archives of Dagenham Post, there's pictures of them eating the gardens where the cows have escaped and come onto Thamesview.
Yeah.
So those were the days, and it was like a wonderful place to play as children. And then we had the City Farm that was created by the the guy that was Alfie Lucas who started the Curzon Club. He started the City Farm, and that had massive great pigs and ponies and goats and everything. And we used to be able to go over there and see the animals and all that, which was great as kids. And as we grew up, we took our children over there. It was a wonderful place. You could buy eggs and milk and all sorts there out of the shack, and it had a blacksmith shop over there and everything. But that's gone now. We've lost that. And Alfie Lucas was part of the group that was involved with the wildlife park over there, which is I've forgotten the name of it.
Mm.
We've been trying to get that open it's still closed.
Mm.
And we used to run in and out there, bashing down the giant hogweeds because they advanced across the park, so we had to exterminate them with sticks as kids. So that was a great place to be, but again, that's closed up. And they had a big lake in there where there was newts and all sorts in there, and lots of wildlife.
Are you talking about the Ripple Nature Reserve?
Ripple Nature Reserve. That was the name I wanted.
Yeah.
Be mind slipped. Yeah, that was intricate with Alfie Lucas in the beginning because it actually ran into the city farm because the river that ran through filled the lake in the wildlife park.
Right.
Any particular memories you have regarding the what is now called the Footpath 47?
Footpath 47 was where German Hill was, where we used to go German Hill, where the gun emplacements were, and you got the drum and the point, which is how they lined up the guns that were down there. Instead of saying so many degrees to the left, so many degrees to the right, they said so many degrees to the drum, so many degrees to the point. And they was there to protect Barking Power Station from being blown up by the Germans. It used to follow the Thames into London, so the gun emplacement was there. Also barrage balloons during the war. So it was the ideal place for us as children to play war. So we used to slide down the hill on bread baskets and all sorts. It was great fun. Yeah, those were the days.
What's it like seeing a red-crested newt?
Brilliant. They were brilliant. We used to catch them, and it's like a little lizard. Beautiful things.
Oh.
But as soon as they built the school down there, they shut off the river that fed the lake in there.
Right.
So the newts are no more.
Right. So the school was the reason that the river.
Yeah, they built that school where the farm used to be.
Yeah.
In Thames Road.
Right.
And that closed off the river that fed the lake.
I mean, we've had conversations in past times as well, and you spoke about the local area was full of streams and very much different to how it is now that the Barking Riverside Estate is there, free flowing.
I mean, in the old days, there were streams we could catch sticklebacks and all sorts. There were reservoirs where Barking Riverside is, and there were giant conger eels in the reservoir, and we used to build our own rafts to go across the reservoir. There was a big sign, keep out, deep water, but that didn't stop kids, so we made rafts and went onto it, and to be attacked by the giant eels. It was great fun.
Did you say giant eels?
There was eels in the reservoir. You see them swimming about.
Oh, what? And they'd attack you, yeah?
They'd come round where our rafts were, so we'd play Jaws.
Right. All right. Could you tell us more maybe about the shoreline? How was the shoreline?
There was a little beach down there at one time, and I always remember because the tide down there is very, very dangerous, so you don't never go in the water down there. And what happened, one day we was down there and there was a big black Labrador dead on the beach that had drowned in the tides and been washed down, which was very sad. But we used to go down there and find clay pipes and our white bottles that were the original ones that had marbles to stop us in. And it was great fun down there. We used to play down on the beach, never went in the mud. My friend decided he wanted to step in the mud and it sucks you under. So he was stuck in the mud, so we had to go and get a tow rope and a couple of pallets, lay on the pallets and wrench him out the water. He was covered in black mud, which is from the sewage plant. So it's
kind of like quicksand there.
Yeah, it sucks you down. Yeah, you don't go on that mud. As kids, we knew you never went near the water or the mud. So we played down there safely. We played war, but never in the river. But the little streams that went through, if you look at the old Ordnance Survey maps, there are actually streams that run right through that area that go into the road in where they've gone now. They've filled it all in.
For me, I've been around for about 6 years living here,
Yeah,
and I can't imagine the space as it is today,
no,
with lots of streams running around, lots of nature everywhere,
yeah,
wild animals, ecology that isn't found anymore
no,
as part of the landscape. And I wonder just how hard it's been for nature herself to deal with this, really,
yeah,
in the midst of what is now a lot of development for housing needs and so forth, as we hear about often. And I'm just trying to imagine what that space was like.
yeah. To me, that space was heaven for us as kids, as Ripple Nature Reserve still is. If we can get it back open for the children. And the fact is, I'm looking at the high rises that they're built now. There's nowhere for the children to play. There's green spaces, but they're man-made green spaces. It isn't the same to have a bit of good man-made green under a pylon. When we had all them beautiful spaces, we could just play, take your bike and spend the whole day down there. It's great fun. And be at one with the animals because there was rabbits and badgers and all sorts down there.
Mm.
It's definitely better for the mental health as well to be.
Yeah, I find that now, even in the Ripple Nature Reserve, where we've been in there litter picking, it's like being in paradise. You can hear the birds, you can breathe the air. You can't do that down Riverside. The air's enclosed, the lights are enclosed. There's no light down there. There's no air down there. But in the Ripple Nature Reserve, you're back to nature. It's like walking in paradise. It's a great place. Same as the shoreline, we need to look after that because the shoreline is paradise. There's a lot of wildlife still on that shoreline, the wading birds and all sorts down there. The thing that struck me and Kevin sat down in the Ripple Nature Reserve on a bench and we just sat talking. The amount of dragonflies and butterflies that just flew around us while we sat there and rabbits run by. You don't see that where Riverside is now. It's all gone.
Yeah, and that kind of brings me up to the next point in case is when it comes to the built environment and the houses in the local area, the buildings, how has it changed? Do you think you could drop us a timeline and help us to imagine that space?
Well,
The changes.
the changes to Thames View, basically, Bastille Avenue never went straight through. It was closed at one end. You could only come in at this end, and there was only a way off to walk off. Cars couldn't roar through it and use it as a rat run. So it was really sort of an enclosed area. And Thames View was like a little village. We used to play down here on our bikes, and if we got up to mischief at the bottom of Thames View, our mum would know when we got back home at the other end of Thames View because people spoke to each other and the people were friendly and the people knew each other. It was a proper community, which it isn't anymore. That's one of the biggest changes to the area. It's not a community. People don't speak anymore. I mean, there's few people. I still know the people that have left the old Thames View residents, but the new residents just don't want to speak to people. They're sort of, they hop in and hop out again because it's just a place where they can stop and come back to and then go again. And that's not a community. You could liken Thames View to something like Emmerdale is on telly because it was like a little village, and I often think back how nice it was. And I've been to a place at Duns in Scotland, and it's just like how Thames View used to be. It's a little village in Scotland, and I long for that, the old times, and they say,
That sense of community.
yeah, there's no community anymore. Everybody was friendly. If you was in trouble, they would help you, but that doesn't happen anymore. There is no community.
Can you tell us a bit about how the people were in those times, like their temperament, ideas, visions, how they used to do things?
Right.
Like what made the community come together as a community?
Well, in the old days, the community, there was all sorts. The Curzon Club was a big part of the community. There were two pubs, the Short Blue and the Lighterman. We've still got the Lighterman, but the Short Blue's gone. Then we had the school and the church. And what used to happen, they used to have a Thames View Festival. And at the Thames View Festival, we used to have a tug of war. We used to have all sorts of yard of ale drinking contests, and the church used to put a team together. Both the pubs put a team together, and the Curzon Club put a team together. And the church happened to win the tug of war over the road there, and the vicar at the time, David, he won the yard of ale drinking contest. And it was always good fun. Everybody knew each other, and all the big families on Thames View all mucked in and helped out. And we used to do all sorts of things together, charity things and all sorts, pram pushes, you name it, we did it, but not anymore. It's all gone. The community was helped each other. We had before the Curzon Club was actually opened, we used to have the Friends and Neighbours Club, and that was in the council hall, which isn't the council's no more. And they used to charge for that. But the Friends and Neighbours Club, they used to do things in there. They had a bird society, cage bird society. But that all moved into the Curzon Club, where we had a photography society. We had a football club, and then we had darts pool. The photography was a big thing in there, and Alfie Lucas used to run an art school, and he was a fantastic painter, Alfie Lucas, and he taught people to paint. And I always remember going to the art school, and he showed me how to paint things. He was brilliant, man.
So around here, you had an art school.
We had everything.
Oh yeah, like what else? What else? What's the picture missing today? What's
Everything. We haven't got anything anymore. There's nothing for the community anymore.
what's made it change? Why is it?
Well, cutbacks in all. The Curzon Club membership's fallen behind in the Curzon Club. They've lost their football team. They were called the Curzon Colts, and all the young children from Thames View joined the Curzon Colts, and they played football on the field at the back here.
Yeah.
And it was quite a big thing, you know. If you go in there now, there's pictures all around the wall in the ballroom of the Curzon Colts teams.
Mm.
Yeah, we had the photography went well. Brian Diggle used to run that, but he lives in Texas now, and he used to run the photography classes, and they taught you how to use cameras, how to develop things and all that. Art was brilliant in there. Alfie did that, and they had, for the old people, they had bingo and lawn bowls in there, all sorts going on, and dancing school.
Mm.
You name it, we had it. It was like the Curzon Club used to be like a club that you get on a holiday camp.
Mm.
Every weekend you could take the kids and they could dance and enjoy themselves, and mum and dad could play bingo, and you'd have a DJ or a group up there. It was brilliant. Every weekend people queuing to get in there.
What else was happening around Thames View outside of the Curzon Club, and how was it in the day to day when you?
Well, the church used to run things. They used to run jumble sales and bazaars and things.
Yes.
The Christmas bazaar at the church.
Yes.
There was a couple of ladies that made marmalade, and Mrs. Turner made pickled onions and gherkins, and Sandy made the marmalade, and Sandy was a Scotswoman that worked in the post office on Thames View, and her marmalade was something to write home about. You couldn't get marmalade in the shop like it, and so at Christmas time, that bazaar, when it was open, the people at Thames View were queuing right down the road just to get the marmalade and the gherkin and pickles for Christmas.
Mm.
Yeah.
There's something about the trees on Bastable Avenue as well, aren't there? I see a lot of people picking up the
Then they're nuts. Yeah,
what are they?
They're new. What's happened? They replaced. We had horse chestnut trees,
Yes.
and the council have chopped a lot of them down and replaced them with sweet chestnut trees, which are edible chestnuts. And people can't respect the trees because when the fruit's ripe, it falls on the floor. But there's people going smashing into the trees to knock the fruit down, which is just going to destroy the trees.
Mm.
And you need to respect the trees. When the fruit's ripe, it drops down, and you pick it off the floor. You don't smash the tree to pieces to get it.
Yeah. For me, it's been very interesting, like seeing all the new builds come up in the local area. The one in Newlands Park, for example, if you've seen that,
Yeah.
it's like gone halfway through the park itself. So all that green space there, which was man-made, albeit, has now disappeared.
Yeah.
Just like that within, I don't know, 2 months, So, yeah, it's hard to imagine what Thames View would have been like before.
Newlands Park, they had a play leader scheme there.
Yeah.
When we were younger, we used to go down there, and when we were teenagers, we met up with the girls. And there was a thing that was like a lump of cheese that we all used to sit on down there and talk to the girls. And it was our way of courting down there.
A lump of what?
It was like a big lump of cheese made of concrete with holes in it.
Right.
And we used to sit on it and chat the girls up.
Right.
Yeah, the good old days.
How long ago was that? When was that part of your life? A young
years. Yeah, I would have been about 14 in those days, 13 or 14.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we could probably just start to wrap up. I mean, I've heard a lot, and I think there's a lot more of which you've spoke about.
Yeah.
So we do intend to do a few more group podcasts at some point,
Yeah.
and to try and get that conversation going with a few of you that used to be around here. Because I know that when you're with Kevin or Dennis, the conversations start to fly, or with
Yeah.
Marion, for example, about how things were around here.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to piece it all together and to imagine it. But just based on what you said about being a young chap and how you were doing your courtship tactics and all of that, how was it in terms of living around here for your own memories, anything that's joyful, anything that you remember fondly, or
Yeah, it was a nice place to live. It was like living in a village.
yeah.
And the neighbours, you'd get up in the morning, walk along the road, everybody knew your name and said good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And people spoke to you and they watched out for you, and they would tell you, if they had problems, can you help? And we'd go around doing each other's gardens and doing things for each other and helping each other. That doesn't happen anymore. And the older people used to be involved. All the gardeners, nobody had concreted over their gardens. They were proud of their gardens, and all their gardens used to have a competition, a garden competition, and the best blooms, and all the older people grew fantastic gardens, and the council would come round and judge the competition and pick the best garden.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember just now you were telling me about the chap that gave you a job.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
When I left school, I in those days you didn't have careers. Obviously, you just got chucked out and went to look for a job. And so I went round all the factories looking for work, and I came across Bulges, which was the electronics company on the A13 opposite the fire station, and I went in there and asked if they had any jobs, and the security guy sat me in a chair and said, "I'll tell the personnel you're here." So he sat me in a chair, and while I'm sitting there, a big Rolls Royce with a Royal Crest on the front pulled up, and out got a guy in a Crombie overcoat, a Winston Churchill cigar, and a hat, and he got saluted out the car by the chauffeur, and he came walking in. And he said to me, "What are you here for, boy?" So I said, "Oh, I'm looking for a job." "How long you been sitting there?" I said, "About an hour." "Has anybody seen you?" I went, "No." So he banged on the personnel door and I heard him shouting and he said, "I want him employed today." And I was taken in the personnel and
Just like that, he just
yeah,
said he's going to get you a job, just like that.
just
Want him
like
employed.
that. Yeah.
What gave him that status? Why did he have that power to give you a job? Who was he?
He was AF Bulgin, well, Wing Commander AF Bulgin, and he'd been given the factory by the Queen for its war efforts. It used to originally be in Abbey Road, but they were given that land and that factory by the Queen, and they produced armament stuff during the war for the war effort.
Mm.
And it was quite it employed about 200 women on their assembly and other staff in the offices and what have you. But it was a great concern. He ran it, and when I'd spoken to the personnel, he rang down for me to go to his office. So I've gone up to the office where he questioned what I wanted to do, and we had a long conversation. And he decided to put me in their planning office, and then I ended up in there walking around timing people working. That didn't please many people. I got spanners and all sorts thrown at me, but it was a great time. I worked there till the place went and moved off to Tunisia, and then I then became, from there, I became an assessor and apprenticeships and MVQs for TBG in Barking, which was another big concern in Barking. But Bulgins paid for all my qualifications. He sent me to college and everything. So I have a lot to be thankful for that man.
Sometimes you just meet people that are just genuinely kind
Yeah,
and just give you something from the heart and expect nothing in return. It seems like a very genuine person.
he was.
Very fortunate.
Fantastic man. Yeah.
So I guess I wanted to just finish up with a key takeaway, really. Like, well, I mean, what do you think, from your perspective, was something that really, stuck by you? Because we were just talking just now, saying that you don't know, when you've got, to go, to leave. And when it comes to your experience over here in Thames View, what are the standouts in your life? Because, I mean, the reason that I want to mention it, and put it on the public record is because we sometimes get caught up in the rush of life, trying to do this and that and accomplish this and that, this amount of goals, and life breezes you by.
Yeah.
Before you know it, 2 or 3 weeks have gone by and you've forgotten the things that you enjoyed just a month ago because they're not at the forefront of your mind. And you're left with very standout moments in your life. What do you think is a key takeaway for you living here, like something that really touches your soul?
A lot of things that touch my soul, a lot of the children I see now are adults. And where I used to live on Thames View, I taught most of them to ride their bikes. And I saw one the other day, and his mum said, "Do you remember Pete?" And he's looking at me, and now he's an adult, and he went, "You should remember Pete, he taught you to ride your bike." Yeah. And a lot of the children on the estate I taught to ride their bike. And I used to run, when I was 14, the Sunday school in the church. So a lot of the young adults now are in my Sunday school class. So I still see people that were in the Sunday school class when they were children. It's fantastic. So I got all that. And what happened, while I was at the church, there was a woman called Peggy Sibley, who was a teacher at Church of England School, and she taught me how to teach children. That's how I took over the Sunday school class, because it was just, she taught me sit along Nelly style, which is an old saying. Sit along Nelly is you sit with someone that knows the job and they teach you the job
Mm.
rather than learning it at college.
Mm.
And it's the best way of learning things. I've always said that the best way of learning is to sit with someone that knows the job. And that's like when you do an apprentice, you get an apprentice, they sit with someone that knows the job, and that's how they learn.
Mm.
They're things that stand out. And when I was training people in for TBJ, it stands out a lot like the students that I got through their management courses there. They did management, customer service, business admin, warehouse and stores, logistics, and young Paul, I taught him maths and English that now comes to our group. So literally, they're all students of mine. So
Simpler times and very straightforward way of doing things.
it
Just
was
less
brilliant.
waffle.
It was, yeah. Life was simple.
Yeah. We had a great time listening to all your memories. I think as a community development hub, we obviously aim to